Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending on when you're actually watching this. It is Wednesday with the Whittemore Group. Of course, you have Tim here, your local expert and enthusiastic professional. And today we're going to talk about Zestimates and Zillow. And we're going to try to figure out how accurate are the Zillow and Zestimates that they have, and what you can use that information for moving forward, and how to actually figure that out. So let's get into it. Zillow's awesome. Zillow is great because it allows all the MLSs everywhere to come into one place so that you can look and search for homes out in Nebraska, here in Florida, up in Ohio, wherever you want to do, you can get into it. And hey, it's a live video, we're not going to edit this. Anyway, you can look everywhere for it, and I think that's pretty incredible. So you can go out and take a look at those things, and it's going to give you a lot of good information based on different schools, different crime rates. You can go through Trulia as well to try to get those things, and it's awesome. But let's kind of jump right into it. So you're looking to buy a house, you're looking to possibly sell a house, and you're looking, hey, what's the value of my house? So you see this little Zestimate thing. What is it? Well, the Zestimates, well, they're not always accurate. Matter of fact, most of the times when I take the Zestimate they gave versus me as a realtor and figuring out what the home value is, they're like wildly off. And it really depends on if my home's sitting on the water, whether it's next to a trailer park, if it was built in the 50s, if it's a concrete dome, I don't know. Anyway, it could be up to $50,000 or more off. That's pretty big. So if you're looking to put in an offer and say, well, the Zestimate said, well, it doesn't matter. And if you're looking and go, hey, my home's worth this, again, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to tell you why. Know first, and I didn't think that this was a thing until I ran into a potential client that had told me that they saw that the house had already had an appraisal. What they meant was the Zestimate. The Zestimate is not an appraisal. It's not an appraisal at all. Somebody spent at least $400 to $500 to get an actual appraisal, and it's usually not posted up anywhere. Okay, so know that that's a thing. I didn't know that people thought that, but to each your own. It is an automated system, which means that it's an average. So pick here in the Fort Walton Beach area. You find a house, and it's in a very eclectic area. So most of the times we'll go over to the water and be on the bayou and see that, you know, maybe it's a $1.2 million house. Across the street is a $300 house, and that's about 6 blocks away from a trailer park. Are you getting my drift here? If it's an average of all those, how accurate do you think that's going to be? Exactly. The only time that I see this actually working is if it's in kind of a cookie cutter area, you know, like where they've actually had HOAs and put everything in and all the houses are the same, right? And when that is actually a thing, then awesome. That's probably a pretty accurate estimate. Or if it's in a neighborhood where the average in every single house is pretty much, you know, the same as well, so they were all built in the 70s or whatever, that's usually going to give you a good estimate. The only thing is that people like to go in and update houses. I know I would. So you'd have to factor that into, so it still can be pretty far off. Other things that it doesn't estimate in there as well are REOs, real estate owned, or what everybody else is known as foreclosures, right? So foreclosures are going to be calculated, and you know that those are the deals that get super low off those prices. Do you want those averaged in? I wouldn't think so. The other ones are short sales. Those, again, are discounted properties, and my favorite, the non-pretty houses. I've done a lot of air quotes today. Anyway, the non-pretty houses. So somebody that just wanted to get rid of it real quick, sold it to a wholesaler for just as quickly as they needed to get this thing off. Those are also averaged into those prices, which can bring it even lower down, which is bad for you as a seller. So other things to consider as well. If you want to know the actual property value, go ahead and talk to your local real estate agent. Yeah, well, you know, it wouldn't be here if I wasn't trying to give our industry a little all right, so what do we do? Okay, so this is the difference. We don't use the average, although sometimes we use other systems that are a little bit better than the Zillow Zestimates and just kind of give us an average of what the market's going for. And then we do two different things. One thing that we do is a comparative or competitive market analysis to figure out where to price that home. And then the other thing that we use is an absorption rate. So that absorption rate is basically the rate at which homes are selling at a particular price that we're looking for in that neighborhood. So we can see where you need to price it and how quickly you need to offload it in order to get it during the time and the price that you're looking at, and really whatever the market says. So what's a CMA? Comparative market analysis is going to take everything that's sold that is like your house in your neighborhood or a neighborhood that's very much like yours. And then we kind of go through and really pick apart, hey, does this have upgraded kitchen? Does this have how many baths? Does it have a pool? Is it next to the water? You know, those sort of things that make it actually look like your house. Kind of like an appraiser does, but we're not appraisers. And that's another video another time. Other things that we're going to look at is your competition, things that are selling like yours and how they've positioned their houses. And of course, things that failed to sell, what we in the industry called expireds. Their listing agreement expired and why they didn't sell. It could be a particular, because it was a mess, it was overpriced, which is most of the time. So we can kind of get a good estimate of what that is. And then we'll be able to become in a price range. Now, we as realtors, I would love to say that we actually come up with the price that it sells for, but we don't. We actually come up with a price range to position your house to sell the best. Quite honestly, I wish that it was that we pick these out, but really the market is going to determine how much that your house sells for and how quickly. The thing that will be different will be how quickly we can do that, and that's based off of marketing. I've said it plenty of times. How many eyeballs are on this house in order to be able to see it and be able to move it quickly, right? So that's what you pay these real estate agents for, is to go out there and market your house to make sure everybody that's looking for this type of house is actually going to see it. So the more eyeballs, the more probability that it goes. So inevitably, the market's going to determine that. The Zestimate could be wildly off, and you don't want to put it super high because nobody's going to see it. And if you put it this high and houses that are priced right at that high, you're just helping sell the other one, right? However, if you put it too low, that's leaving money on the table. And nobody wants to leave money on the table. We want to get you the best money possible. All right, I hope that's a good definition for you, and you guys get a better grasp on what a Zestimate is and what we as realtors do in order to get the actual best positioning price to sell your house. And of course, remember, the market determines how fast, or the market determines the price that this actually sells at. All right, guys, again, thanks for watching. If you know somebody else that could use this information, please do share that with them. Make sure to like, share, put a comment on here. And I hope to see y'all next week, and we'll have some more great tidbits. All right, talk to you soon. Maybe.